Hi there, Bill Thompson here. I'm really excited.
Hi guys, I'm James here, and today... So everyone, take a look to my Ricciardo book.
Oops.
I'm sorry, too many stamps inside of me.
What's happening to him?
I think he's switching genres.
In one of my last video, I came up with a macro I've recently created using Keyboard Maestro to help Logic bouncing all the stamps of your music orchestral project. Since, Logic is amazingly not provided with a useful stem bounce function. Now, I've even more recently realized that I did not actually explain to you how to use this macro, right? And what you are supposed to do in order to make it work correctly. Yes, because the main problem is that this macro is, just a macro. I mean, it's not an application, an external application, which could work, let's say, in any condition or settings every time in the same way. In this case, you would have to take instead some adjustments and to set up a couple of things just before starting. Sorry for that, but I don't want to come across as a moron. So, first, here's a brand new version 2.0 of that macro. And second, I'm going to do a deeper walkthrough to explain to you exactly how to set it up, right? Okay, stay with me. Okay, so the biggest thing about this version is the prompt panel, this one, popping up at the beginning of the bouncing process. It asks you to choose the right genre of music you want to bounce. In my case, I've set it up with these three main kinds: the generic one, comedy orchestral, and octans. Well, actually, I should write it T-E-N-S without E, final E, I guess. But anyway, but you could obviously modify these three guys here, substituting them with your own kinds of stamps. Let's have a look now to all the settings and changes you would have to do both in Logic and in the Finder just before starting this macro. Let's get started now with the Logic ones. So first off, as you see, you'll have to collect all of your instruments in folders named by their relative orchestral section. So you'll end up having 6 main folder stacks, the first of which must be that one of the strings, which has to be placed like here as your first track in your project. Then you can have your own order, here with the remaining folders of winds, brass, drums, keys, and vocals. But remember, the strings must be the first track. And you must give these folders the proper names. That is strings, winds, brass, drums, keys, vocals. All in capital letters and in the exact way and with the exact symbols you are watching them now. The main reason for that is that you have to write these folders' names in the most, let's say, original and unique way. You have to help Keyboard Maestro to easily find these folders as unique targets on the screen. So for instance, you don't want to have the word strings written twice let's say on another track. This would lead Keyboard Maestro in total confusion. Second, you have to assign shortcut to this Open Smart Controls function within the window menu in Logic. And to do that, you have to open obviously the key command window, search for Open Smart Control here, and finally you have to assign it to the shortcut command 3. And third, before starting this macro, you have obviously to save your project at least once. You'll obviously have to title your project, because otherwise, you'll have no title at all. Stem files names. Fourth, you have to reduce the vertical zoom like that of your tracks in the arrangement window to its lowest ratio. And if you have a really heavy template, something like that, with tons of tracks, crowded, say, with many instruments and plugins, you'll have to make sure all the folder stacks I mentioned above, so strings, winds, brass, drums, keys, and vocals, are visible all together and in the same time in the arrangement window. In other words, you don't have to search them by scrolling down like that with your mouse. In that case, Keyboard Maestro won't find them. So let's say you have composed some music here in the strings section, in the winds, some in the brass, and the drums, here down in the keys section, and finally here in the vocals. So you don't want to scroll down like that. You have to reduce the vertical zoom. I have already reduced it, but still I have to scroll down, but I don't want to do that. So the Logic shortcut to collapse all the main tracks in which you really compose something is Alt-H, and then boom. So in this case, you have just the tracks you have used in this project, and most important thing, we have in the same arrangement window and in the same screen, let's say, the main folder stack track here: strings, winds, brass, drums, keys, vocals. And finally, the last two really important settings concerning the Finder. So first, as I mentioned above, you have to save your Logic project, and you can choose your own path, your own location, your own folder for that, where you want to store it. So let's say I have just saved my project here in Logic. Here is my project, Bello Ciao. But actually I don't like that. You have to save this project within a folder. So you create the folder with the same name of the project, Bello Ciao. Then you move the Logic project within that folder here. And then, most important thing, you have to drag and drop this folder here in the left part of this Finder window in the sidebar, and pay attention to that, in the third position here. So in this case, my third position is after desktop, after recent, and here I have my folder. Okay guys, these are all the main steps you have to follow to perform the macro in the correct way. But what if you want to change and, let's say, customize some parameters, like for instance the names of the stem music genres in the prompt window at the beginning, or the folder text names, or the stem file name format. Well, you have that to enter anyway into Keyboard Maestro and start modifying the macro itself. I'm sorry, I can't explain to you all the actions I have built up in Keyboard Maestro. It would be too long and annoying, I think. But if you start examining closely the Keyboard Maestro macro, I think you'll easily find out where the elements you're looking after are placed and how to change them. So I just wanted you to see how this macro is divided into 4 main groups. Here we have the stem bounce prompt 2.0. So you go here, and here these are the music genre names I mentioned above. So generic, comedy, orchestral, and actance. So if you want to change this, you can do that by clicking and change your name. But these names refers to these 3, obviously, are the macro, 3 groups of macro. So stem bounce generic, stem bounce comedy orchestral, stem bounce actance. So for each of them, if you want to change these names here in the prompt window, you have obviously also to change even the main file name here. And if you want to change the final file name, the final stem file name, you have to go here. Here I have divided in all the stems. So brass stem, drums stem, FullMix, key stem, string stem, vocals stem, and woodwind stem. So you have to modify all these stems by going inside each of them and by clicking this window. I have here my own text format, but obviously if you want to have your own and customizable text file name, you have to go here in this window and change it. Some of you guys told me you have been a little bit in troubles with the previous version of this macro, like it kept on bouncing the same track forever and ever and ever and ever, or whatever. I really hope you'll find this video helpful for you. And if you still have an issue with that, please write it to me. I'll do my best to answer you and hopefully to solve your problems. Thanks ever so much for putting up with me. Subscribe, ding that bell to be notified every time I put a new video up, and one of those will be much, much, much appreciated. Oh, by the way, you can have this macro at an extraordinary low price. If you have a discount code, please fill up. Oh, come on, download it for free. Link here below. Cheers.